All right, and dealing with these two frogs right here, these two guys, they keep coming up as magenta and some of the discussion. Some really good comments, good feedback from people all over. Looks like both sides of the Atlantic. Just want to cover a few things. I think there's maybe some misunderstanding on how Dallas is configured, how SignalSuite works. So I thought I'd just make a short video so we can cover some of that. So to address one of the first questions that came up was that the Fremo standard requires all turnouts have fascia controls, or actually it didn't have to be the fascia. You could use the caboose ground throw. So all turnouts have to be controllable from all sides of the module set. That is correct. That is required in the standard. And this module set does not meet that requirement, not even close. And that's by design, that's intentional. So here's SignalSuite. So this is the Dallas Union Terminal Company set from end to end. This is the north end, this is the west end, and this is the south end. We got the 6 platform tracks in the middle, we got the 1 mail track, and then the Y, which is not depicted, but the Y leads are here. So the Y is not handled by the tower operator at all. So the only fascia panels, the only turnouts that an operator can access on Dallas are those on the main. So this crossover right here, and this crossover right here, this crossover right here, and then this turnout and this turnout to get to the Y, and then the Y is governed by fascia controls. So as you can see, it's very complicated track work. There are 64 frogs in total. I'm not sure how many turnouts. So if you look at, like the double slip, they've got 2 frogs. All right, the double crossover has, there's 4 in here. If you don't include this, this frog with that turnout and these 2. So there's just a lot of between 60 and some odd turnouts, right? And so to have, if I were to have this, mounted on the fascia, right? So you can see the fascia, it would be very complex. It would clutter up the side, and it would defeat what we're trying to do with Dallas. So Dallas was controlled, the prototype was controlled by 2 tower operators. So the north tower, which is right here, was called Tower 106 for the north tower, and the south tower 107 was called the south tower. Both of these still stand today. But these 2 tower operators governed the Union Terminal Company trackage. So this was full CTC. It's a full interlocker tower, and there was full control of this. And the original design for this, the concept was to do the same thing on the modeling side. I didn't want people, a train here and a train here and a train here, and 2 guys trying to leave, 1 guy in the north, 1 guy in the south, and somebody in the Y, and everyone doing their own thing. It just wasn't going to work. So the intentional design was to violate the standard, and it just is what it is. So the module set is designed to have a tower operator here. Those 2 positions, the 106 and 107, were combined into the singular position. And that's Ed Chapman for us. Ed heads this up and runs the module set. So like I said, in the absence of the tower operator, it's early morning, it's late at night, we've taken a lunch break, whatever. No, you cannot get a train in or out of the passenger platforms, but you can traverse the module set. So fascia panels, you can come on, you can use any of the 3 crossovers that you need access to, and you can also access the Y to turn anything that you need to. But if you want to get in and out of Dallas Union Station, you'll have to wait for the tower guy to come back. So what we're using for control on this, couple of comments maybe about evaluating SignalSuite, maybe seeing if it does this, maybe it does that. There's no evaluation to do. So this hardware, it is a turnkey product from hardware, software. You're not having to mix and mingle. Let me go find this and find that. Does it interface with this? Does this work? Does that not work? It's all complete. And I've been installing this stuff for the last, I think, 6 years, maybe 7. So this is the back of triple underpass. You see there's a lot of electronics here. Very complex module set, lots of wires. So SignalSuite, the software, communicates via the Cat5 bus, and the Cat5 bus runs through the entire module set end to end, and it talks to these digital bungalow machines. So these DBMs with the slots, this one's not connected, but you can see, I don't know what you call these, Molex, whatever they are, I don't know what they're called, somebody will know. But each DBM has 8 slots, and each DBM, in fact, there's an expander that needs to go here because I've got more signals to drive. But this can be expanded to basically just an expander module. But in each of these, so in the slots, you've got different cards that do different things, right? So this WCZM, this controls turnouts. Okay, so these wires run up to, and this was mentioned in one of the posts. So the tortoise is the most predominant turnout on this. But these controllers, they just slide right onto the cards. You got positive, negative for power, and you got a command to throw, and you got a did it throw. You got a return, you got a feedback loop. Did it actually happen? So these slide onto the tortoises. The other thing are the MP5s. So I guess I should actually say the MP5 family, because I've got MP1s. So these are here under the bridge. So when you're, these are the lowest profile ones they make, so they don't stick out. But these MP5 controllers work with the MP1s, it'll work with MP4s, it'll work with MP5s, even the larger Circuitron Tortoise replacement footprint ones, the MP10s. So these wire into the WCZMs. Another thing you have are BDMs, which is the block detection modules. So you can see these aren't wired in yet. But what these do, these take occupancy information. So your current detectors, whether you're using the SignalLogic ones, whether you're using like the Iowa scale atoms, it doesn't matter. As long as it logics to a ground low when occupied, it can plug into here. And it shows, hey, this thing's occupied. Now the reason these aren't occupied or wired yet, sorry. So one of the limitations of the module set, so like right here on the main line, so this is a current block for both, each main is a current block, and then back this way is 2. You can see this block boundary doesn't match the physical boundary of the module set, right? Because the way the framing and everything has to go. So what you have on every block, you have a current detector in the middle, and then you've got an optical detector at each end. So this optical detector coming down to the end of this block comes all the way down, and then this is actually the next set, right? Then it comes all the way down through Federal Curve, rounds the corner, and then comes out on the Union Station and sits about right here. So I can either continuously start running ground wires back and forth, or we can take that optical, run it into this U node, this universal node, and via the Cat5 bus, tell the DBM and SignalSuite that it's paired with the 2 modules down via the Cat5. Saves a ton of wiring. So the U node, the next step, now that we got all the turnouts operational, will be start wiring in the optical detectors. I'm really, really big on the Iowa scales. Same thing, because these actually do both. So the blue wire is when it's occupied, or it grounds low when it's not occupied, and the white when it is. We just cut the blue wires off because we don't need them. But between the opticals and the currents, and you tell the U node, and it tells the software when the blocks are occupied. So then the next card is the SDM. So this is your signal driver. So these will get wired up. So this is the back side of the removable signal mount mass out of California. So these things will get wired. These have resistors built into them. I think they're 1,000 ohm. If you need more, you can do something in line, but they're already resistors, so you're not blowing LEDs out of the gate. So that's the network infrastructure Then we start adding in, so back on the double slips. So number 8 double slips, you can't build with solid frogs, right? They're too shallow. So the prototype you can. On a number 8 HO, because of our flange requirements, these things can actually walk one way or another, and you don't want that to happen. So these were built with movable point frogs. That one's actually, they need to be adjusted just a hair. But the movable point frogs, you can see how those work. And these are paired. So with the logic on the double slips, you've got masters and slaves on these. So here's the 204 master, and there's a slave, there's a master and a slave. So when I tell this to do something, it comes through the logic, through the DBM, and it only tells the master. And then the master, via a pen, is slave to the slave. And then the master moves, the slave moves. And you've got the same logic on just regular crossovers. So like here. So this crossover, obviously you got the fascia panel, or you can do it via the software. And if you tell one to move, the other one moves. So you're not pushing 2 buttons. So back over here, the software. So yeah, so as we've established, these constant polarity. So the logic on these, the way they work, so the movable point frog controls the opposite frog. So this switch motor here controls this frog, and then this one controls that frog. These two are not used. Now what you could do on these 2 little magenta frogs that keep coming up magenta is you could use either this one to control this, or if people have said like, hey, well, just wire this one in series, you know, let this motor control that one and that one. And that works great going one way. It doesn't work going the other way. And this is what's been lost in, of course, it's hard to explain things via word all the time. So back to the software here. So we're line for straight, okay? So this one's line for straight, this one's line for straight. I'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see better. Now, what this software does not do, it does not behave in a typical model railroad logic, right? So typically when you see double crossovers, everything's straight or everything's thrown. This does not do that. Another comment was made that something I think about protecting movements. Well, there's no way to protect a movement in a crossover, because if you throw everything, then 2 trains could meet in the middle. Obviously, the only way to protect is if you have them straight, but you know, if you're throwing them all, then you risk collision in the middle. Now, here's what the software does not do. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to release this one, and we're going to throw. Let's see, this is upside down, so we'll go. What we're going to do is we're going to throw one route. Okay, so we're going to go from here. I'm going to go down to here. I'm going to come across. Now I heard a bunch of MPs, right, and one tortoise. Now what you see is the only thing that moved is what was required. So these turnouts right here, these are not paired. So you can see we were lined for straight. This one is diverge. This one's still for straight. This system doesn't start unnecessarily moving turnouts, and I think that's something that's been lost. So you can see now what we're going to do is, now I've got this route going across, right? So we're going from the Katy to the mail track. So this would be coming across here, coming through, coming all the way down over here to the 7th track. Now what we're going to do is we're going to show what happens. We want to go back straight from here, and you're going to see that this will throw, this isn't going to undo. So let's release this. And I think this is where maybe some confusion is, that these things are perhaps paired or that they behave in all or nothing. So we're going to go from here straight across. You'll see this will throw. This is still where it's at. This is not an associated turnout with this route. Therefore, it will not move, okay? And so if we had, let's see, if you start pairing, you know, like, well, we're gonna pair this frog to this frog and go this way, like, hey, that's awesome. But now we start coming the other way. Well, this one doesn't move or release. And so now you've got, you're trying to fight on your frogs, whether or not you're doing them in series or you're using the outside ones here to control. All right, we did straight, we did here. All right, now let's go this way. So now we're gonna release this. And now we're gonna reestablish, so this is straight, right? So this is thrown, this is straight. Now you're gonna see if we wanna come from here. What do I have hooked up? Let's try this. Okay, so you see the only thing that threw were associated turnouts. It didn't unthrow this, it didn't move any of this stuff again. So you see, and we'll do one more example. So this is on the diverge, right? So this is coming across from the TNP up to 3. So this one's coming across, coming from here. And which way are we going? We're going through the diamond, then we're coming over here to 3. Now, if I want to reestablish the straight, if we want to go from the Katy over here to 3 instead, it's not going to undo this. All it's going to do is throw these two. So come here. It won't give me that one. I got to release this one. Let's request that one. Give it a hard count. All right, so we want to come here. And we want it. Okay, now I don't understand why it's doing that. Let's try again. No, we'll just come up here. All right. We get the same thing. So it's going to throw that one. It's going to throw that one. It didn't do anything with this stuff down here. So that's what I'm saying. It's not an all or nothing. The software will only throw turnouts that are required for the route. So that's why I'm saying there's no predictable pattern for these two, or at least that I can see. So if you have, you know, if you had this one throwing this turnout and it goes awesome, it does that. So we're gonna come through this route. This one's powered, we're all set. This is powered, we're all set. But then we wanna come through this way. Well, this doesn't do anything. So this doesn't undo to release that frog to this turnout. Or to release, you know, if this one were paired to here and we need here, so there's too many, this thing just doesn't behave like an actual model railroad. It behaves like the prototype. So that's why I'm saying the only option I got on these two number 4s is a frog juicer. So just quickly back up just a hair on why we're seeing different colors on this. So the teal colors, we're seeing teal because we're not talking to it. So those modules are not up. The only OS we're talking to right now are the gray ones right here. And we've got the flashing ones. So you can see these right here, the 213 and the 14. Those are actually on that module right there. We're not hooked up. So it's flashing and saying, hey, I'm looking for the data. I don't have it. And then same thing, that crossover, that's that crossover right there. It's flashing because it has no data. So if I were to plug it in, we would get solid lines showing which way these are thrown. Now these two are on a module that's in storage, so that until we get that one up and plugged in, we're not going to see anything. So, but that's how the SignalSuite works. Still playing a little bit on the cancel, the release, the actual CTC operation side of it. We haven't got to do a lot of that because the wiring just hasn't caught up with the aspiration. So it's coming along, but so hopefully that answers some of the questions on this as to why, you know, like I said, these two are not paired. They don't behave as paired. They're not master slaves. These are independent turnouts. Like I said, the only thing we've got masters on are I think we're outside in. I think that's master slave, and then same thing here. So this thing, let's see if we do one more route. What have we not done? Yeah, so here's an example, right? So let's just manually throw this one. So let's throw the 200. What was that, 206? Okay. So you can see we got a route across the diamond, right? So we're fully routed across the diamond in this direction. Now we're going to go the other way, and you're going to see that none of this changes. This route right here will 100% stay the same. All we're going to do is we're going to align the 201 and align the 204 through 205s. See? So we're aligned here, and this stays the same. So if you had a train coming through, not paying attention to signals, not paying what's going on, boom, you could have a collision, right? And it's like, well, you need to make sure that this thing throws, right? So that you don't have a collision. Well, you still have a collision because now your train just comes down this way and the collision point's here. All you've done is shift the collision point. So that's one of the things we're beginning to emphasize our authorities and rules and dark territory, ABS, CTC, you know, what's my limit, what's my authority, what is my authorization to be on this track and to move on this track. And it's something we're really beginning to address with the F-Core, just given the size of some of the setups we're doing and some of the operations we're trying to happen. So, but anyways, you can see this, so that's a perfect example of how this thing will simultaneously line two routes. It would only be signaled for this route, right? So there's signals, these two signals would obviously be red, right? And everything back here would be red. The 1 through 6W would be red. Only the, I'm sorry, 1 through 5W. The 6W would be whatever, it'd be the most permissive it could get, right? So if you had, let's see, there's a signal here, this goes out on the main. Let's say you had a train out here on the Fremo side, on the main line, you know, so that would be, if you had a, let's see, that'd be red. Yeah, so that would be red, that would be a yellow, and this would probably be a flashing yellow here. So that's one thing this system does. So you don't have any control over the signals. It grants the most permissive, if I understand this correctly, Kevin could correct me, but it grants the most permissive, at least I think. So, but hopefully that answered a few questions. The SignalSuite through Signal Logic has been, even with 5-6 years of experience of this, I don't think there'd be another solution I'd want to try. I've been incredibly happy with not only the hardware, the software, but dealing with Kevin. Some of the challenges that we've come across, the double slips, you know, he and I were arguing how these things should operate, what they should do, and I was like, hey, you know, I was convinced this is how it needs to work, and then he came back and was like, no, here's how it works. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, so you're right. So incredibly intelligent guy, very knowledgeable, really knows what he's talking about. Great asset. There's been a couple of instances, like we've got one here, we got a couple optical detectors have to go in. One of them needs to go right here. It's physically impossible with the way this module's framed, where the wood's at. There's no way to get one in. So Kevin's great about, okay, well, here's another alternative solution we can do to get the same effect and the same permission. So, but that's that. We're getting to the point of testing this entire OS. Right here at the end of the month, we'll have this entire OS set up. This is the 3 of the 10 modules. So you've got the triple underpass, which is the one here. You got Federal Curve, that one's there. And then the Union Station module, this is almost 8 feet. That covers, there's another 4-foot extension, and that's basically the bulk of the platform tracks. So getting these 3 set up allows us to completely test this OS. Make sure if it should, you know, if it says, hey, this switch is thrown this way, we can go, yeah, it actually is. You know, this shows occupied, yes, it is. So we can begin to check. Make sure we've got all the 1s and 0s coming back from the hardware on the module back to the software correctly. And then once this is established and good, then we can start bringing the signal layer online. This side is, this is mainly the Tower 106 section with a little bit of the Stimmons. I think that's ready to go. I haven't seen it in so long, I have to go look, but it's getting close. It's getting more every month. We're adding more and more capability. So it's really exciting to sort of see this come along. next couple, or have a couple setups this year. One of them opposite the Wichita Union Station, Rob Petty's Wichita Union Station, and then another setup opposite the Oakland Mole, Larry Saslaw's Oakland Mole. So hopefully we'll start to do some passenger train operations that we just haven't been able to do in free mode with setups having large passenger terminals opposite each other. So I think it's going to be a really fun time for the passenger train enthusiasts among us. So if you have any more comments or questions, I'll do my best to answer.